On this next episode of Outlook TV, we've got Queer Van Hoops,
Two Guys with Knives,
and Longstory, a game suitable for LGBT youth, and much, much more.
Hello and welcome to Outlook TV. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Robert Mackay, and you're watching the Queer Magazine news show that brings you the stories that matter the most from coast to coast.
We're going to kick it off with the Mr. Ruff contest. Do you like Mr. Ruff?
I prefer Mr. Ruffer.
Hey everyone, we're here at the Pint in Chinatown on for the search for Mr. Ruff 2017. Let's check out all the contestants.
Mr. Ruff is the ambassador for our events. Since 2012, we have been doing Ruff in Vancouver, and since 2013, we are now in Seattle and Victoria. So Mr. Ruff gets to go into all these cities and represent Vancouver and Ruff as our ambassador.
We're required to be at as many of the Ruff events as we can, there are quite a few of them. They happen on almost a monthly basis, sometimes a couple times a month if they're happening in town or in a neighboring city. We also have events in Victoria and Seattle, for instance.
You get to meet a ton of amazing people. I know for myself, I had only just sort of become involved in the gay community when I decided to run for Mr. Ruff in 2014, and it was an incredible experience. And the people that are involved and everything that went on just really helped me sort of ingrain myself in what the Vancouver LGBT community is really all about, and it's fantastic.
I'm the youngest contender. I'm only 24, and most of these guys are in their late 20s, early 30s, late 30s. And I'm the really high-spirited guy, and what I would do is I would take Mr. Ruff title, and I would try and help the gay community as much as possible. So that would really be my biggest achievement if I were to win.
I joined Mr. Ruff 2017 to get involved, to push myself and challenge myself. Getting out and getting on stage is not the easiest of things, especially for an introvert like myself. So challenging myself to come out and do that. As well, Michelle Nadeau raises a lot of money through Ruff for charities like the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. So I really wanted to be a part of that.
I've had a lot of fun talking to people, kind of helping get donations for the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. That's all been actually wonderful. I've met a lot of cool people because of it as well. But I've definitely run into it through a few issues trying to get ready in terms of my performance, but that's fine. It all worked out in the end, I think.
My striptease last year was very nice and innocent, while this year it's going to be a complete opposite. So it's going to be much darker, and I plan to burn that image into everyone's mind tonight.
The competition was long and rough, but at the end of the night, Jesse came on top and became Mr. Ruff 2017. This is Emmanuel Vermihor for Outlook TV.
Next, we're going to take you to an ode to Debbie Reynolds by a bunch of local queens.
That is a woman who's going to stay in my heart, let me tell you.
Hollywood icon Debbie Reynolds had a long-standing open working relationship with the LGBTQ+ community, even when it wasn't so popular to do so. From doing AIDS fundraisers in the early 1980s to guest spots in Will and Grace and her burlesque shows at the casino in Las Vegas, she was a highly visible ally. She also had a working relationship with some of Vancouver's top female impersonators, and tonight we're here to find out all about it.
She's very darling. She's entirely professional. For example, there was a day on set where they were having a huge trouble lighting the scene, and basically production had shut down for about 40 minutes and they couldn't do it, and actually the lighting director had won an Academy Award. I believe it was for Shakespeare in Love as the writing director on that previously. So this was a team that knew what they were doing, but they just couldn't light this thing, and Debbie Reynolds was just quietly sitting on the set, and finally she just sort of quietly said, "If I may," and she said, "I think you should move that there and take that over 20 degrees and put this here and do that there." And there was this silence, and the director said, "Yeah, do what she said." And of course she was right, because she's been working on movie sets since she was a little girl, so she's picked up everything.
One of the fondest memories I have was that during one day, it was a particularly long day of shooting. Did a lot of different camera angles to prepare and stuff, and it was maybe like 50 extras in this one very small, not very, very heated room, so we were all kind of tired and stuff. And during the breaks and stuff, Debbie would just get up and start regaling us with fun stories about her past with other actors and different movies. She would tell little jokes. She would laugh and go, "Do you guys know my daughter is Princess Leia?" Well, she is. Yeah, she was an absolute joy to be around. Always, always on, always entertaining, never sort of dropped that at all. It was fantastic.
Past Empress of Vancouver, Dee Dee Drew, has a great story about her adventures in Atlantic City in the 1980s.
We watched her show, and then, as often would happen, we were invited backstage. The four of us were ushered further into like a bathroom makeup area and where she was, and they closed the door behind us. Suddenly she sort of jumped up and she grabbed my hand and she said, "Come with me." And she led us out through all the people that were waiting to meet her and out into the hallway. You know, we were down in the basement of the casino, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we went all the way down this hall, like past the kitchens and the staff lockers and everything, and like around a corner, and then finally she found this cul-de-sac, and she pulled us in there and she said, "Okay, this is good, we can visit here." And we were like, and she was like, "Oh, honey, they're firing my manager, and I can't handle that bullshit."
For Outlook TV, this is Angus Pratt in Vancouver. Back to you, Rebecca and Robert.
We're going to have to take a little break now.
Rebecca needs to go to wardrobe. Look at you. Look at you. Come on.
What? Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
And balls were being passed at Queer Van Hoops. How many balls do you think were passed there, Rebecca?
I wouldn't even want to know.
More than one. More than one.
After a long spring break, we're at Queen Alexandra Elementary School enjoying the playoffs with Queer Van Hoops.
The name Queer Van Hoops is basically just that. It's creating a space that didn't exist. So there were women's leagues that were mostly cis focused. So I wanted to create a space that was all genders, queer friendly. So I wanted to make that super clear what we were about. So I put queer right in the title. And that's why people seem to like these shirts, because it's just like, you know exactly what you're getting into. There are 4 games in a week. There are 8 teams, so every team gets to play once. We grew from 6 teams to 8 teams last season, I think it was. My favorite thing is the fact that the teams keep getting reorganized. So every season we shuffle it back up so that everyone gets to know different people. So you're not just with the same group from season to season. So people are connecting across teams. That's probably my favorite thing. The apparel is this. There's 2 designs. This one, then one that's a bit more of a hipster thing with like a X and then the letters in it. I usually do an order at the beginning and end of every season. So if you just get in touch with me, letting me know that you would like something, then I usually email everybody. They're pretty affordable. It's like $20 for a t-shirt, tank top, $30 for a sweatshirt.
It's a great environment for everyone. Like, Meg's really great at like differentiating skill levels and getting the teams to have like different levels of people, so it's all super inclusive. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who has played before and hasn't played in a long time, or is just starting and wants to get to know basketball.
Yeah, I had never played when I joined, and it was great. It was super welcoming, and everyone was really nice to me, even though I really sucked at the beginning. But I've been able to get better. You see me set a screen now. I'm so good. Yeah, it's really great.
This has been the most welcoming, positive community endeavor that I've ever experienced in Vancouver. I've been here since the very beginning, the very first day we were in this gym 5 years ago, and I can't believe it's our 5-year anniversary, and I've just completely come into my own.
What was your previous experience with basketball?
I played in college. There are, I think, maybe 1 or 2 of us that played in college, but most people have or even no experience at all. So every team gets a beginner, and the more experienced players are responsible for cultivating that player, and some of them just become so good that now they're just a normal player, and it's it's a really great place to learn. There's all different levels, but everyone plays really well together, and it's been awesome.
This is Denise Goldberg with OutlookTV with Queer Van Hoops enjoying the finals.
And now it's time for the gay agenda.
With the one and only Fred Camperman.
Living in Canada today can be like living in a big gay bubble. The LGBTQ community has come a long way from 1973 when homosexuality was considered to be a mental disorder. We just don't realize how lucky we are to be living in this time and in this great country. Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Trudeau, dealt with this in the 1970s when he said famously, "The state has no place in the bedroom of the nation." Since that time, the LGBTQ community has worked tirelessly to gain and maintain our rights. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said of Chechnya, where it is reported that hundreds of gay men have been rounded up and put into gay concentration camps. They are being tortured and severely beaten. 3 have been reported beaten to death. They torture these men, trying to get other men's names out of them. During the Second World War, Adolf Hitler did the same to exterminate gay men and women. All the Jews had to wear the Star of David, and all the gays had to wear the pink triangle. The Chechen president, Razman Kadyrov, who ordered this clampdown, said that these claims are basically fake news because there are no gay people in his republic. And his great friend Vladimir Putin supports him. Recently, Putin banned this meme of him in drag because it upset him and his homophobic cronies. This image has been on social media since 2013 after Russia passed a law banning anything is not to be said about the non-traditional sexual relations. This caused protests across Russia, of course, which led to LGBTQ protesters being arrested and beaten. So, where does this leave Canada? Now, Justin Trudeau has to step up his game to match his father's. So far, the Prime Minister, along with the international community, has demanded Putin investigate what is happening in Chechnya. But I doubt Putin will, considering his own track record in Russia. The international community will have to do more than just protest to stop the violent attacks on sexual minorities in Chechnya. Prime Minister Trudeau needs to get Canada to offer refuge to Chechens whose lives are being at risk because they are LGBTQ. We, as a civilized society, must offer refugee status to the LGBTQ community from Chechnya, Russia, and anywhere else where they're being persecuted and threatened with death for just being who they are. Because only once they are free to be queer here in Canada, then we can all truly celebrate our pride. So please write Justin Trudeau and tell him so. For the Gay Agenda, I'm Fred Camperman.
Up next, we've got 2 guys with knives. Wow, that could go in a lot of different ways.
Are you talking about the knives?
Oh, and the guys, I don't know.
Let's see what happens.
Healthy, nutritional, home meal delivery is all the rage here in Vancouver right now. We're here today to talk to 2 of the best in the business, 2 guys with knives. Can you explain what 2 Guys with Knives does?
Sure. So each week we put out a brand new menu. You have 5 different entree items, 1 breakfast, 1 juice, and 1 soup. And then you can take it as a template. Everything's all designed around fitness nutrition. So it's all balanced with lean proteins, low glycemic carbohydrates, and vegetable components. So you can take the menu as is, or you can customize it to whatever nutritional dietary needs that you have. So if you went on our menu and you're like, hey, I like the looks of this, but I eat paleo or I'm allergic to this, we would take your selection and we customize it to suit that for you.
And also we facilitate, accommodate any dietary preferences. Also, if you're a pescatarian, paleo, if you don't like garlic or extra spice or easy spice, you can accommodate all that modification to make your palate flow well.
How do clients order?
They would order for a week at a time. So we deliver all their meals at once. It has a 5-day shelf life in the fridge, or they can be frozen if they need a longer shelf life as well. So you just place your order between Monday and Thursday, and then just sit back and you get your meals on either Sunday or Monday.
How did you get into this business?
I did competitive athletics all through high school and after high school. And then when I moved to Vancouver, I did my personal training certification, and I got quite big into the adventure race circuit. So that's kind of what I started specializing in. So with that and nutrition, I combined both with all my clientele and started doing a lot of meal planning and meal prepping for them. And then it just kind of started to evolve and grow into what we have together now.
I had CEO chef from Brazil, and I came to Vancouver, started to work in a restaurant as a dishwasher and clean the floor. Then a month later, I became the first prep, then the second cook, then the sous chef, and then I became the head chef of the restaurant less than a year.
How'd you guys meet?
We met in Toronto Pride, actually. A friend supposed to introduce us in Vancouver for like 3 years, and that's never happened. So he moved to Toronto, and that year both went to Toronto Pride, and we were both there for our whole week, but you met exactly the last day at the last party, and since then we are together.
What's the favorite dish?
Butter chicken. So instead to do all that creamy, delicious sauce, you use coconut milk. I think that's a comfort food you just make healthy. That's better for your body, and your body gonna thank you.
Okay. Now you said you work with like Loving Spoonful and Thrive, etc.
We do a lot of their events with them. So, for example, for the Scotiabank AIDS walk that they did, we had a booth in their VIP tent where we handed out samples of kind of individual smaller meals of what we would do on our menus.
We love sponsor and be part of the LGBT community.
For Outlook TV, this is Angus Pratt with Two Guys with Knives in Vancouver.
We're going to have to take another little break now.
Time for me to powder my nose. Rebecca, join me.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
We've got Longstory the game, and it's a chance to replay the days of your youth.
Thank you, Rebecca and Robert. We are here with Michael Lyons on a Skype interview. He is a queer self-identified writer working on Longstory. It's a teen narrative app. Thank you, Michael, for being with us tonight. Now, how did you get involved with this storytelling app?
It was really funny, actually. I was actually in San Francisco at the Game Developers Conference, which is a big professional game developers conference that happens every year. I had seen leading up to the conference the call for writers for applications to join the writing team for Longstory. Went home that day from the conference in San Francisco, typed up like my sample and my application and sent it off to them. And so that's how I ended up getting involved.
How would you pitch Longstory to our viewers?
I think what's really fantastic, and it's a very, very conscious choice on the part of the team, is that, like, despite the fact that Longstory it's a very LGBT positive game, and it has a lot of LGBT themes like sort of interwoven in it, it's not specifically like a game 100% about gay characters or things. You can certainly explore that part of the game if that's how you choose. Like you can be a boy in a relationship with another boy if that's a choice that you make in the game. But like the core of it is about exploring healthy relationships. It's not necessarily a game that like young queer or trans people would like be the only ones interested in. And we certainly have like a number of young straight people who are very passionate about the game as well.
Now, there's a character called Turkey Hawk in the story. What was the inspiration for that?
So, like, Turkey Hawk came before my time, but Turkey Hawk is actually a gender-neutral character as well. We never find out who Turkey Hawk is, and we never even hear Turkey Hawk's voice in the context of the game. And a lot of people have responded really positively to Turkey Hawk because you'd think that Turkey Hawk would just be this huge gag. But Turkey Hawk is like a character that the player can date if they choose to. And there's like a beautiful and like sensitive person inside the turkey costume that you get to learn about as you go through the game. And that's just wonderful to me because we're exploring like relationships and how you relate to people, and like how do you relate to a person that you don't even really know who they are.
And what user feedback have you received?
Definitely go to Longstory's Tumblr because the team is super active on there, especially when we have episodes and things coming out. We're like always happy to share like fan mail and fan art. We have a lot of people doing like original songs and then covers of songs that have appeared in Longstory, which is amazing. So we're always sharing things on Longstory's Tumblr. So that's definitely the best place to get information.
Thank you very much, Michael. If you want to learn more about Longstory, check out the link below. Back to you, Rebecca and Robert.
What says Easter more than a vintage car?
Gay vintage cars.
And Easter bonnets.
Ooh.
Hi, this is Outlook TV, and we're down here at the Easter Car Show at the Planetarium parking lot. And we're going to interview the Car Jockeys. That's Vancouver's gay car club. Let's go talk about lube and oil.
The Car Jockeys Club is a group of
gay, lesbian, transgendered, miscellaneous people that just enjoy hanging out with collector cars. We maybe don't fit into the regular mold of the collector car market, but we get together from time to time, or we as a group go to shows all throughout the summer in the Lower Mainland.
It's been an obsession with me ever since I was a little kid, playing with Matchbox cars. And over the years, I've always just wanted one of my own to play with, go cruising in, to look after. My car is a 1966 Pontiac Tempest convertible.
1953 MG. It's called a TD. 54 horsepower. Not too good on the freeway. Doesn't like high speed. I have a 39 12-cylinder Packard Coupe. That's a big car. That's my big car. And another one of these MGs, but unrestored, original condition. And a 31 Model A Ford in original condition.
1992 Honda Beat. It's a JDM product, meaning Japanese domestic market. They're not meant for anywhere else. And it has a tiny little 660cc engine in it. I have a lot of cars called Mitsuokas. They're a coach builder out of Japan, and their thing to do is to take Japanese cars and make them look like old English cars, like Jaguars and Rolls-Royce and Bentley, those kind of things.
She is a 1953 Packard 300 convertible.
And do you have a name for this beauty?
Grace, after Grace Kelly. We also have a 1955 Dodge Mayfair. Her name is Liz, after Liz Taylor.
It's a 1946 Chevrolet half-ton pickup. It was originally from a farm in Lethbridge, Alberta. And they ran it until it died. Then the grandson put it back together again, and a few other people have worked on it over the years.
This is Daihatsu Midget 2 from Japan. It's a unique vehicle, to say the least. A little 3-cylinder Japanese domestic vehicle.
I've been collecting cars since I was about 16 and currently have about 8 of them. I just really love old cars. I like working on old cars, but especially I like to drive them around and just have fun and make people smile. What is it you like about old cars?
My husband, he's happy with the old cars.
Beautiful. From the Car Jockeys Easter Car Show, this is John Crossan for Outlook TV.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for this episode of Outlook TV, but we'll be back.
And we'll be back with a vengeance, especially if you follow us on social media like Facebook and Twitter. And remember to send us an email if you'd like to join us in our insanity.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Rebecca Watt.
And I'm Robert Mackay.
Stay fabulous, Canada.